Hey guys, and welcome in on this beautiful Tuesday evening to play Would You Rather Fantasy Football Edition. Tonight we're going to do running backs. So we're going to spin the wheel like we usually do. We'll get a pair of running backs. And then after we're done doing that, Would You Rather, we will take suggestions from our viewers on who they want to see us compare on the Would You Rather. So go ahead and get in that chat and list running backs that you want us to do a would you rather. And after we get through spinning the wheel and doing that one, we will choose one from the chat. All right, Kyle, you ready to get started on this?
Let's do it. Let's spin that wheel, brother.
The wheel of running backs. That's an official name, right? Until we make it the wheel of wide receivers or something.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Let's see. First one is Chase Brown.
All right.
All right, so Chase Brown and I guess I don't really have to do a drum roll because the wheel's going to do it for me. Here we go. James Conner.
Okay.
So Chase Brown and James Conner is who we're going to play. Would you rather? All right, Kyle, start out with Chase Brown. What do you think of this guy?
Well, I love Chase Brown, and I got to give a shout out to our guy, Wishlist. He actually called the breakout last year. I thought he was crazy, and he nailed it. And Chase Brown come out of nowhere, and he was. I saw on here earlier. It said like he was the Bengals CMC, basically, just doing everything. And I mean, that's true. He's not the same talent as CMC, but I get the comparison. So yeah, I mean, he had a great year last year. I'm not sure if I believe it's repeatable though,
Why is that?
because they went and signed Samaje Perine, and they're already talking about getting him involved more in the passing game. That's going to be a pretty good drop in volume and production for Brown. He had quite a few points off of that. So if they try to hamper that workload at all and let Perine go, then that could be a pretty good hit.
Yeah, here's what I'm thinking though is that he was already having to share with Zach Moss, right? And you could tell that he was obviously the better player, the better running back. And then when they finally decided to just give Chase Brown the ball, he started looking really good, right? So hopefully this year they kind of push Zach Moss to the side a little bit. Right now on like sleeper, he's still listed as the number one running back there. Chase Brown being the backup. I feel like that's not anything to worry about. I think Chase Brown is the guy there. I feel like every time Samaje Perine goes somewhere, it's like this big deal of, oh, he's going to eat into touches and stuff. And he really doesn't. Like he does every now and then, he'll get a few touches a game and he'll do pretty good with them, but he's not taking volume. Now, do I think that the season might start off that way? Yes, because these coaches for the Bengals are kind of silly, right? They, for some reason, drag their feet on Brown or whatever, and giving him his opportunity to unleash. But all that being said, I feel like this is just going to be kind of like every other backfield where it's just a timeshare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Brown, I think, is the main guy there, and he'll do the most with his touches. He'll be the most productive with his touches. He'll be the most explosive. He'll be the guy. But of course, he's going to lose touches to Zach Moss and Samaje Perine. It's just the name of the game now with these backfields. So, I mean, that's just the future of fantasy for us, unfortunately.
Yeah, and with everything I said before, there is that caveat which you kind of touched on. Like, you always get this kind of coach speak in the off season when it comes to, oh, we just signed Perine, so we want to talk him up. We want him to be involved. But how many times have you heard coaches say that and it never comes to fruition, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I really think, like Tyler said here, like I really think Brown's still going to get his touches. He might lose a couple series a game, but like nothing that's going to significantly hamper his value. I don't think too much. So you have to think of it, kind of from both sides. Do you read into everything that the coach says and buy in, or do you read between the lines and look at Perine's history and then kind of make the determination for yourself whether you think he'll kind of, lose more work to Perine or not?
I
So,
just don't think Perine demands. He just doesn't get the kind of volume that
no.
to actually threaten anybody's workload. So I'm not nervous about that. I'm just but I am a little bit nervous by the Bengals coaching staff just being a little bit cautious, I suppose you can say.
That's where it really comes in is with the Bengals coaches because, I mean, how many weeks did it take for them to get Moss out of Brown's way last year? They knew damn well going into the season that Brown should have been starting right out of the gate. They talked about it during the offseason.
Yep.
You got the regular season, and Moss was still starting. So sometimes the coaches got to get out of their own way. And I don't think even if Perine starts the year with a decent workload, I don't think it'll stay that way once they see how much more effective Brown is with those types of touches.
I agree. All right, now before we move on to James Conner, I just want to point out that my shirt says "Jerry makes me drink."
Yep.
Coming straight off of the draft, I thought this was a pretty fair shirt to wear tonight. So right now it just says Jerry. I'm not celebrating Jerry. Jerry actually makes me drink. I in no way will.
Because I knew you wouldn't just have a Jerry shirt.
No, it's a tease. It's a Jerry makes me drink, and doesn't he make us all drink? So,
although to be fair, this was, in my opinion, one of their better drafts in a while.
I agree. They did fairly well. Alrighty, let's go ahead and switch over to our number 2 running back here that we're comparing tonight, and that's James Conner. What are you thinking about James Conner this year, Kyle?
Dude, I've always been a big James Conner fan, even though he's traditionally been very injury prone. Last year, he stayed pretty healthy because we thought last year we would see some Trey Benson start, chipping away at that workload, and then James Conner stayed healthy, and we barely saw Trey Benson. At some point, that's not going to be the case. And James Conner is now 30 years old.
Yeah,
he's nearing that cliff. Probably already should have with his injury history. So I do think this year we finally start seeing that timeshare between these two. They just can't keep feeding James Conner these same types of workloads. And Trey Benson, he's got, a year under his belt now in the pros. Maybe he's more ready this year. Yeah, I love James Conner, but I think we see a significant fall off for him this year.
Yeah, I mean, James Conner, you mentioned it, age 30. Holy cow, for a running back, that's old, And this dude has been used, I'd say like a workhorse, but really, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years under his belt, but he's probably only played about 5 of them if you take away all the games he's missed from injury. Pretty injury prone in his history until last year. He's only getting older. I have a feeling that this year he probably doesn't stay healthy again. I think last year was actually an outlier. I mean, obviously, when you look at it, he was more healthy last year than any other season his entire career. So if he stays healthy, I see him holding off Benson quite a bit. I just don't see him staying healthy. But if he does, the upside there is tremendous. And I think if Kyler Murray also stays healthy, then I think Kyler Murray helps James Conner's running ability in there, right? I think I've said this almost every show we've ever done. I think a rushing quarterback helps the running back because it pauses those linebackers, right? So,
well, and Murray's already said this offseason he thought they should have ran him more last year.
Yes.
So Murray's going to run even more this year. That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's going to pause those linebackers a little bit more. Also, just looking at it, Conner also gets a pretty good amount of targets out of the backfield, which I really like. He's getting, anywhere from 3 to 5 targets a game in there, and that's pretty good. That's some easy points there. So I know we talk about Chase Brown getting those catches, but Conner's also getting a fairly decent amount, not as much as Brown, but still doing pretty well there. So You have anything else to say on him before we go to a vote here?
No.
Okay. Okay. I am before we vote here. I'm gonna show this one really quick. Make sure you like the channel. For the audio podcast of this show, we do have a channel for just the podcast. If you just like listening instead of watching our ugly mugs, you can go follow our podcast channel over there and just listen to our silly voices instead. Alrighty. Fantasy Football Plus Network says Connor is a beast. Well, he says beat, but they're so close to Benson season. Yeah. So getting close to Benson, I do believe. And Benson had some nice shiny moments in there too. Alrighty. Let's vote on this first. Would you rather here? Again, we're between Brent said sometimes voices are better than faces. I do have a face for radio. I have a face for radio, but I also have a voice for nothing. So, a voice that I should keep to myself. But
we have voices for talking to ourselves in the shower. That's what we have.
Right, there you go. All right. So number 1 for Chase Brown, number 2 for James Conner. We're going to do a redraft vote first, and then we'll do Dynasty. All righty. So on the count of 3 here, we'll hold up a 1 or a 2. Ready? 1, 2, 3, show. Yes. Okay, so we've both gone with Chase Brown for redraft. Kyle, why'd you pick Chase Brown for redraft?
Well, I mean, it's everything we talked about, right? His main competition this year is going to be Zach Moss, who we beat out easily last year. Perine, who's never been a career, large workload kind of guy. He's still going to put up numbers. He looked amazing last year. It's an easy choice for me here.
Yeah, I agree. I know he's not CMC, but I kind of thought the same thing last year. And the amount of passing work they were giving him and how explosive he was. I was like, he's kind of got that role, right? Where he's just catching a bunch of passes. I mean, he looked fantastic. I fell in love with Chase Brown last year. And again, like you said, shout out to Wishlist from our Sunday morning spilled coffee there. He called it. He knew it. He got him in all our dynasty leagues. And I was like, this guy, okay, he's on crack. And then next thing you know is Chase Brown. Now I'm like, I want him, but I can't get him. So a little upset about that.
Meanwhile, I'm going to do a reverse shout out. The professor's over here trying to sell Zach Moss to everybody off the helicopter.
This is coming from the guy who just sold Ramondre Stevenson after the draft to a guy for a first rounder. Am I right?
Which hurts my soul. No, it wasn't for first rounders, for second rounders.
Either way, 2 second rounders. You're right.
It was the first 2 second rounders of the round.
That's true.
It hurts my heart because Stevenson's a Sooner, and I love him. But
yep,
that's for another episode.
Exactly. Alrighty. So now I think we've kind of given away, though. You wanna vote on the Dynasty real quick?
I don't think we need to vote.
I don't think so either. I think we both know Chase Brown.
I think we can agree it's Chase Brown for everything we've already said, plus 5 years younger.
Yeah, the age difference is ridiculous. The tread left on Chase Brown's tires is tremendous. I mean, he's only 2 seasons in, as compared to 8 for James Conner. He's 5 years younger.
Backup, 1 season as a workhorse, no major injuries to speak of. Yeah.
Oh no, he did get a major injury. He got it in the week of the finals at the goal line and screwed me over and lost my championship for me that I lost by 4 points. Yeah, so no, he had a major injury. It cost me big time. Just throwing that out there.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Chase Brown kind of screwed me in the championship week. Whatever. I'm not bitter or anything.
Look at the rest of your team, though, so that's how championship weeks go.
I'm bitter. But alrighty, let's check the chat really quick. So Chase Brown was our clear winner on Would You Rather, both redraft and Dynasty. I'm going to check the chat here, and let's see. We had other people also saying Brown. Everyone voting Brown in here. So that's big there, Brent, showing that. So, all right, guys, thanks for playing along there. If you have anyone you want to see us do a Would You Rather, we'll do one really quick with suggestions from the crowd here.